Nisha Poddar, who's in conversation with Sanjay Sagar, joint MD and CEO of JSW Energy.
The stock fell and the fall really continues even today. So there is some negative momentum on that particular stock on account of the results which came out. So we have the management of the company with us. Mr. Sanjay Sagar is right here with us to tell us and give us more details on what really is worrying the investors for JSW Energy. Mr. Sagar, it's so good to have you on the show. Now, first of all, the stock fell by a huge margin yesterday, and today it continues. You had an analyst meet where you gave a lot of details, but still the investors and the analyst community is not convinced about the future performance. What about the realizations?
Well, the realizations have certainly gone down and they look subdued. However, the overall realizations today, you've got to realize that in the coming days, they will also include the hydro realizations, which are not at par with the thermal realizations. The thermal realizations, so when we gave a guidance yesterday of about a drop of about 5% in the realization that we'd given earlier, that takes into account the hydro generation also, because a large chunk of it is now going to be contributed by hydro. And the thermal realizations, I do not think are going to fall, especially in view of the contract that we are very hopeful of signing very shortly. So in view of that, the overall thermal realizations may not go down as much, but in the overall picture, the realizations, the aggregate realizations will go down because there's a huge chunk of hydro.
So what is the realization that you're guiding for the next few quarters?
Well, the realizations that we've guided is at about 4 rupees that we've guided it, which takes into account the hydro generation, which is going to be at its peak during the coming quarter.
Of course, hydro realizations have kicked in this particular quarter, and margin expansion, if I'm correct, is because of the hydropower generation also, to a large extent, because you're a huge expansion in the margins.
Exactly. So, we've had a huge expansion on all fronts, whether it's in generation or it's in the EBITDA or it's in the profit, and that is largely because of the hydros.
So could you break it down? The expansion in your margins has been more than 500 basis points.
The expansion in the margins has not been more than 500 basis points, no?
All right. So the expansion, 567 basis points to 45.6%. Is that the margin that you're working with?
Sorry, just coming.
All right, so 45.6% versus 39.9%.
No. The EBITDA margins have gone up by, yes, approximately 5%. That's right.
All right. So that has largely come on account of the hydropower generation.
Exactly.
Because in this particular quarter, your realizations have dropped. Your finance cost has been high. Your fuel cost has been high. Merchant power demand has been lower. So given all this scenario, your margins have still expanded by a huge margin. This is all on account of the hydros.
That's the contribution of the hydros.
Are these margins sustainable, Mr. Sagar?
They certainly are. They certainly are, because hydro, we are having a good run. The monsoons have been good, so we expect the hydro generations to be at an all-time high. In fact, in the last quarter, Baspa had the highest ever generation since it was commissioned, which was a good 8-10 years back. So we had the highest generation in the first quarter in Baspa. So we expect the hydros to contribute very well. And we also now expect the thermals to kick in.
All right. So here my question will be, hydro has kicked in very well for you after the acquisition that you did, 9,700 crore rupees, which you closed last year. But the big worry also is that it's a very seasonal business.
That's right.
So for a few quarters it will perform, but in the quarters where hydro really goes in a sleep mode, what is really going to generate numbers for you? Because your best performing asset in Vijayanagar is also facing issues.
That's right. See, the Vijayanagar asset is facing issues in terms of delays in the final decision on the tender. So this is a procedural delay. The process has already started in Karnataka. It's got a little bit delayed, and I'm presuming that they're taking it a bit easy because of the good monsoon, and during maybe these couple of months they don't have a very high demand. This supply was supposed to have started from the 1st of June, but in the tender itself there was a delay of about a month. So we are having that delay effect. So we're expecting it to get now closed very shortly. And
in what line are we expecting?
Well, all right, that's one company that's in the spotlight for making all of